So my phone is basically glued to my hand, and I'm just going to record this because if I don't tell someone, I will actually explode. My brain is currently a scrambled egg, so bear with me. Okay, deep breath. So, you know how my life has basically been a series of Excel spreadsheets and panic attacks for the past 2 years? Right. Well, my girls finally kidnapped me for a weekend in Vegas. The mission. Forget that my boss, Jonathan Hale, who is basically a human-shaped iceberg in a ridiculously expensive suit, exists. Cut to last night. We're at this super cheesy karaoke bar off the strip, and I am several tequila shots deep. Like the room is kinda wavy. Sarah, the trader, loses a bet, and my dare is to sing Britney, not just any Britney. Oops, I did it again, and I have to commit. So I'm up there, murdering this song, my voice cracking on the high notes, and I'm honestly just embracing the cringe. And then this guy just materializes next to the stage. I can't really see his face because 1, my vision is blurry, and 2, he's wearing sunglasses at night in a dark bar. Vegas, baby, I guess. He just starts singing with me, and he is so much worse than I am. We're just screaming the lyrics at each other, completely off key, and then we totally collapse into this booth together, laughing so hard I think I pulled a muscle. He was just so easy to talk to. We're doing shots of what I'm pretty sure was paint thinner and complaining about our jobs. He said his was soulless corporate nonsense, and I was like, same, my dude, same. We just got each other. It was this weird, perfect tequila-soaked bubble where I wasn't Iris the stressed-out assistant, I was just Iris. And then the dare started. You know how it goes. I dare you to take that shot. I dare you to try and steal that decorative pineapple. I dare you to see if that place with the flashing Elvis sign will actually marry us. It sounded like the worst best idea in the history of ideas. We were so stupidly brave. We stumbled into this chapel that smelled like cheap perfume and desperation, and a guy in a bedazzled jumpsuit who was definitely not Elvis married us. I remember putting on these giant plastic novelty rings and laughing until I cried. He signed the certificate. I signed the certificate. There was glitter everywhere. So much glitter. I woke up this morning. Oh my God. I woke up in my hotel room alone with a headache that feels like a tiny goblin is trying to chisel its way out of my skull. And there, on the nightstand, next to a half-empty bottle of water and my dignity, was this thing. This glittery, fake parchment marriage certificate from the Elvis impersonator wedding chapel of eternal love. I literally shrieked, like a full-on horror movie shriek. I'm married. I got married last night to a guy whose name I don't even know. I scrambled for the certificate, my hand shaking, and I saw it. He signed it. JHJH. That's it. No phone number, no last name, just JH. I have a husband whose name is an initialism. I frantically checked my phone, no new contacts, nothing. He ghosted me after literally marrying me, the audacity. So I've spent the entire day in a complete panic spiral. I called the chapel, and this woman with the most bored voice I've ever heard was like, yeah, honey, happens 10 times a day. You need an annulment. Great. Cool. So I look up the annulment process, and guess what? Nevada law requires both parties to sign the paperwork. Both parties. How am I supposed to get a signature from a guy named JH? I don't even know what he looks like. It's all a tequila blur with sunglasses. I've been describing him to my friends as mysterious hot guy, dark hair, probably tall, great laugh, and a criminal lack of judgment similar to my own. That's not going to hold up in court. This is a disaster. A literal, legal, binding disaster. My life is over. Jonathan Hale is going to fire me for sure if he finds out I took a spontaneous trip to Vegas and came back with a husband. He'd probably call it a severe lack of foresight and poor decision-making skills, and then ice me out of the company forever. I need to find JH, get him to sign these papers, and erase this entire night from existence before my real life finds out. Ugh, my friend is texting me. She's like, any luck? No. There is no luck. There is only regret and glitter. Okay, I gotta go. This is a nightmare. A sparkly, embarrassing nightmare. Okay, recording again, so... It's been a week since the incident. The glitter is still showing up in my suitcase. I swear it's reproducing. My plan to quietly annul my marriage to a ghost named JH has hit a brick wall. A brick wall named Nevada state law. Turns out you can't just annul a marriage when the other party is a no-show, even if that no-show is a literal phantom. The clerk at the county recorder's office was very patient in the way you are with a slow child. He explained that an annulment is a legal proceeding. It requires paperwork, a judge, and technically the other party has to be notified. I told him notifying JH might be a problem unless he had a Ouija board handy. He did not appreciate that. So now it's not an annulment, it's a dissolution of marriage, which means I have to file for divorce from a man who doesn't exist. I have to list his last known address, which is probably a patch of empty desert. I have to state the grounds for divorce, which would be abandonment, but that feels too simple. It was more like vanished into thin air after a champagne-fueled decision. The whole thing is a monument to my own stupidity, cemented in legal forms, and the glitter. It's on the forms now too, a tiny sparking reminder that this is my life. So, in a moment of pure desperation, I did a thing. I hired a private investigator. His name is Sal, and I found him on the internet after scrolling through pages of listings. His website had a lot of flashing text and colors that hurt my eyes, promises made in bold font, and a picture of a cat wearing a detective hat. The cat was staring right at the camera. I know. It looked like a joke. It looked like the last place you would go for a serious answer. But I was desperate. I had run out of other options and my back was against the wall, so I filled out the contact form and he called me back 10 minutes later. Sal is something else. He talks exclusively in a low, dramatic whisper, like he's in a bad spy movie. His first lead? A 70-year-old Elvis impersonator named Jebediah Horowitz. JH, get it? I was like, Sal, I'm pretty sure my husband wasn't collecting Social Security. He just whispered, the truth is often surprising, miss. Meanwhile, back at the literal office, the vibe has been weird. Jonathan Hale has been even more of a nightmare than usual. He's been snapping at everyone, constantly on the phone, and his poor assistant Martina looks like she's about to have a nervous breakdown. I overheard Martina on the phone yesterday sounding frantic. No, sir, I haven't found any information on a Mrs. Hale yet. The investigator I hired seems to be having trouble. There's another man, seems very shifty, always at the same place as I am. I think I'm being followed. I almost choked on my coffee. I didn't think my life could get more unhinged, but now my sketchy PI is accidentally stalking my boss's assistant because we're both trying to find our respective mystery spouses. This is a sitcom. A really, really bad one. The near misses are killing me. The other day I had to drop a report on Jonathan's desk. My heart was pounding the whole time like I was committing a crime just by being near his office. He wasn't there, thank God, but I left just as he was getting off the elevator. I saw the back of his head and practically dove behind a potted plant. Then, at the coffee shop downstairs, I was waiting for my latte, and I swear I saw him walk in. My heart just jumped into my throat and my hands went cold. I panicked and turned away fast, pretending to be super interested in the pastry case. I stared at a croissant, focusing on its flaky layers like my life depended on it. I could feel him moving somewhere behind me, a shift in the air. I listened to the barista call out someone else's name. When I finally risked a look up, he was already at the door pushing it open. He was talking angrily on his phone, his voice a low, sharp murmur I couldn't quite make out. His free hand was chopping at the air to emphasize some unheard point, and just like that, he was gone. Swallowed by the street, it's like the universe is playing a cruel game of tag with us, and I'm always the one who's it. Always a second too late, always just catching the echo of where he's been. But the real plot twist happened last night, the company's annual gala. Of course it was in Vegas, because Jonathan has a thing for thematic cohesion or whatever. It was a masquerade ball. Masks. Hiding our identities. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. I borrowed a gown from my ridiculously chic friend, and I actually looked good. Like, not Iris good. I felt like I was in a heist movie. I put on the silver mask and thought, okay, just get through the night. Smile, nod, don't spill anything on yourself. Then they announced the mandatory networking tango competition. The email was very clear. Mandatory, as in your boss signs you up for you and HR tracks your participation. It was framed as a trust-building exercise. I thought about calling in sick that day, but I knew it would just be rescheduled. We were all herded into the large conference room after the chairs were cleared. And of course, the random pairing generator, a stupid spinning wheel on the main screen that I'm convinced is cursed, lands on my name. There was a dramatic pause, the wheel spun again, and it clicked onto Jonathan Hale. The screen flashed with our names together in a font that felt far too cheerful. in a tux with a black mask. He looked annoyingly impressive. He walked over, and his expression was pure annoyance. "Matthews," he said, like my name was a synonym for inconvenience. "Sir," I squeaked. "So, we have to dance. The tango, a dance of passion and drama. What we did was not that. It was a disaster." We were all elbows and stepped on toes. He kept trying to lead. I kept trying not to faceplant into his chest. We were bickering under our breath the whole time. Him, "Your left, Matthews, your other left." Me, "Maybe if you didn't lead like you're steering a forklift." Him, "This is basic geometry." But somehow, in the middle of the chaos, we started getting it. We stopped fighting and started actually moving together. It was weird. The bickering turned into this weird competitive synergy, and we came in second place. Second! We lost to the CFO and his wife, who have been ballroom dancing for 40 years, but still, we won a stupid little trophy. We were both kind of stunned, standing there holding this cheap plastic thing slightly out of breath, and then it happened. I went to get my clutch from the table to get my phone, and I fumbled it. The whole thing tipped over. Lipstick, mints, and the glittery Elvis marriage certificate. It slid right across the floor and stopped at Jonathan's perfectly polished shoe. The world went into slow motion. I froze. He stared down at it. His face went through about 10 emotions at once: confusion, recognition, sheer disbelief. And then, slowly, like he was in a trance, he reached into the inside pocket of his tuxedo jacket, and he pulled out his copy, the exact same glittery, tacky certificate. Our eyes met over these 2 pieces of paper that had been ruining our lives for weeks. The entire room was silent. I pointed a shaky finger at him. "You?" He stared at me, his jaw practically on the floor. "You?" And then we just lost it. We started laughing. Not a polite chuckle. I'm talking full on, can't breathe, tears streaming down our faces, hysterical laughter. The entire gala is staring at us like we've lost our minds, but we couldn't stop. It was the only possible reaction. The mysterious JH was Jonathan Hale, my boss, the human iceberg, the guy I just tangoed with. It was so absurd, so perfectly ridiculous that all the stress just evaporated into this insane moment of clarity. After we finally calmed down, we escaped to a quiet bar. We talked, actually talked, without tequila or dares or spreadsheets between us. He told me about the hellish week he'd had trying to find I Am. I told him about Sal and the 70-year-old Elvis. We were both just so tired and so relieved. So we made a decision. Maybe fate or really bad judgment was trying to tell us something. We decided to try it out, like actually be married, see what happens. And it's been wild. Late nights at the office turned into ordering takeout and arguing over which movie to stream. Boardroom arguments now end with a secretly passed note that just says, "You're still wrong, but you look cute when you're passionate." I'm seeing a side of him no one else does. The guy who loves terrible puns and secretly watches baking shows. The ruthless CEO is actually just a huge dork. And so we ended up back in Vegas, at a different chapel. This time we were stone cold sober. No dares, no glitter, just us. We renewed our vows. For real this time. So I guess the moral of the story is, maybe what happens in Vegas doesn't have to stay there. Sometimes it follows you home and turns out to be the best mistake you ever made. Who knew? Okay, my husband, weird to say that, is texting me. We're getting pizza. This is my life now. And you know what? I'm not even mad about it.